Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. On this episode, we're talking to a new friend of ours, Chris Johnson.
So Chris is one of the founders of SIL, which stands for the Strategic Introductions League. It's a networking group here in Chicago and, well, a whole bunch of other places too. So SIL not only is free, but you also have to be vetted to get in. So basically, they're looking for people that aren't jerks.
Yeah, and this conversation really kind of focused around networking, not for transactional purposes, but to build relationships, because you never know when you're going to need someone or when they're going to need you.
The best relationships between two businesses are ones that you can both take and give. And then we also were speaking about how at some point you can't just keep giving. You do have to actually ask for something in return and how to kind of do that. So it's a great conversation. You can listen to this podcast or you can watch it on YouTube. And if you are watching, it's coming right up. But yeah, enjoy the show.
Really, nobody ever does what their degree is, unless you're some like highly specialized thing, right? Like a doctor or a lawyer. Like who does what they started out to do?
Nobody.
Like I just didn't want to make $18,000. I mean, that's probably what I make now, but my goal wasn't to make $18,000 out of college. Like when, like the Pacers and like the Indiana Fever women, the WNBA, and they're you can work for it. It's like 17.2. And I'm like, whoa, that doesn't sound all that exciting. So it's like, I mean, but now you make 17,000. It's your own undoing.
Right.
So,
yeah.
No one does what they set out to do, in my opinion.
No, absolutely. And there's just so many stories about.
She does what she's set out to do. Yeah, but it's close though. You're in communications. Okay, I digress.
Got corrected. There was a fact checker there.
Right. That'll happen about. The good thing is it won't happen very much today because she's going on a girls' trip.
Oh, there you go.
This might be like, or maybe make 2 or 3 more corrections until she leaves in an hour and a half. By the time we get done with this, she'll be gone and the corrections will be over. Then I'll correct myself.
There you go. Right. Exactly. That's great. All right, great. Well, we're in conversation with Chris Johnson. Chris, we usually start off with you giving us a little information about who you are and what you do.
Cool. So first of all, I want to thank you guys for putting me on the show. The Conrath brothers, nothing better than you guys with the hello out of the start of it. Love that. So let's start. I'll start from the very beginning. Grew up in Bloomington, Indiana. So a diehard Hoosier, and I'll just admit right out of the bat, my father and I talk about basketball or some type of sports at least once a day. When you grow up in Bloomington, you say hi to somebody and you do this, they wave back to you, and it's an interesting thing for folks to understand. Like you go sometimes in Chicago, you wave, and then you might get 2 of the 5 to wave back at you, but being where I'm from. So family, very, very important. Grew up with one sister who is a teacher. So just provided a lot of foundational things and learned from a very young age that relationships are of the extreme importance. You know, father was just I'll be the first to tell you, I love my father and I love my mother. You know, I came from really, really good stock, and it almost makes me emotional to talk about my upbringing. But because of that, I go to Indiana 2 days a week or 2 days a month just to hang out where I grew up, and in Indianapolis area. I tell people all the time, I think Indianapolis is one of the hottest areas in the country to be a part of. There's a huge tech pull, and for what we do with our company, we think Indianapolis is an area of great growth. So I spent a lot of time there, but a lot of joy, a lot of great memories growing up in Bloomington, and people care about each other. I still have friends to this day that I went to elementary school with. So I think it's important that you keep your relationships as you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit more about, some of the work we can get into, what you do professionally, but then also talking about SIL and how that came about and how important it is, just networking in general. I'm kind of curious as to, how I don't know how long SIL's been going on for. and SIL for everybody, Strategic Introductions League, which on one of the podcasts I was corrected, or I had Chris here type in and let me or remind me what the acronym stood for because I just couldn't remember. I just knew that it was called SIL. But like, I know that you guys did some in-person stuff before COVID, but how long has that been going on? How long have you and Michael been working on it?
Well, I'll be honest, I have no concept of time with this COVID stuff. So something I thought was like a month ago is a year, and I'm all screwed up. I don't know what day it is right now. What day is it? Friday?
I think
It
it's
is
Friday.
Okay, that's good to know because it's like every day seems the same. But yeah, we started with a couple gentlemen that I had a great deal of respect for, that in my mind were pillars in the community. They were certainly influencers. We had another group that we started at Five Seasons Sports Club in Northbrook and Burr Ridge. We had groups going there, and they were good. I mean, we put together something really, really good. I mean, we had a lot of folks that showed up, but in my mind, there was just something that was missing a little bit. So I thought it was a little bit transactional in some ways with some of the opportunities that we were creating. So then we formed this group with those two gentlemen that I spoke about. Had groups in Burr Ridge, we had a group in Northbrook, kept the same thing going, same location. Had a group in Wheaton that we had done a few times at a golf club. Had it lined up to do something in Orland Park, and then we were in discussions with East Bank Club to do it downtown. So it was growing rapidly, a little over a year, right before COVID. So that was really like 3 or 4 months when that was growing. And we had 139 people come into our group in Burr Ridge when all the COVID hit. So then, like any great situation or any great leader, you pivot, and we've done that. And so we went online pretty quick, and have just had a lot of success with it. We call it the Strategic Introduction League, because it is strategic. I think we do as good a job of any group of really vetting the folks that we want, and our mantra is altruism with opportunity. So if we don't, we invite somebody in and then they don't display that behavior, then we certainly are and that's Mike. I mean, Mike came along the scene probably, like 7 or 8 months ago. And Mike is a monster connector and probably become one of my closest friends. But Mike is like the bad cop in our relationship. And I'm the good cop. I give people like 3 chances just to maybe say something that doesn't sit. Mike gives them 1. And they're done. So, that's a good partnership, because we need people that maybe don't display, our weaknesses. Maybe they make up for what we don't do well. But Mike is very, very adamant about those values that we've laid out. It's a wonderful thing. So yeah, we vet people hard. When we looked at this Strategic Introduction League, we kind of looked at EO, we looked at Provisors, we looked at Vistage, we looked at BNI. There's a group in Indianapolis where I'm from called Accelerant. And then there's another group in Indy, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and they're doing a lot of stuff tied to charity, which I think is phenomenal, because if you can do a charitable deed on the front side, and business seems to happen on the back side, and then you raise the profile of the people coming. But we had 82 people on our call yesterday. So we do this thing every Thursday. And the thing that we do, we have a 30-minute speaker, and then we break down into groups of 5 to 7, depending on how many folks are in the group that particular day. And the thing that we do is we really personality map people. So if we know someone's an introvert, then we'll certainly try to put them in the room with somebody that makes sense, maybe bring them out of their shell. And we really, I like to use the words golden goose. The golden goose. We want to find COI, centers of influence. We want to find people that are abundant. We want to find people that look at life as an opportunity, even the most difficult time that we're having right now. And if you look at, like, for our company, we see this as it's been a difficult 9, 10, 11, 12 months. Again, I have no concept of time, but we see a lot of things that are going to come out of this that are going to be better for us, like becoming a national firm. And then the world has gotten smaller, guys. I mean, like, we got people that hop on from California. We had a gentleman from California that was hopping on. We got people all over the country that are hopping on. And then we also started another group in Indianapolis, where I'm from. So 2 groups, and it's just grown like crazy, and we're having a heck of a lot of fun.
There was a whole bunch of great stuff in there. I love the idea of, we could start with the pivot, because I think there was a lot of groups that didn't pivot to going online, and you guys did, and now you're expanding, which is so crucial as an entrepreneur ourselves. And then of course, just knowing, that things are never going to stay the same, is that you saw the opportunity to go online, and with the half an hour speaker, then the breakout rooms where you're trying to get people to actually talk to each other. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And, it's a lot of fun to attend them, and you get to meet a whole bunch of really good, interesting people. Because like you said, you do vet, and you try to weed out the people that are there to just kind of, like we call them the Joe Plumbers that come up to you and they hand you a card at networking events and like, up, and just hands out his cards, infiltrates a good conversation just to throw his card in there, not to contribute anything to the conversation. You try weeding those people out, and then what you end up with is a whole bunch of great individuals that are looking to connect other people together. Like I was in John Cates, one of the group yesterday. I had John Cates in the group, and we've already had him on the podcast, and we're developing this great relationship. Is there a chance that we work on something together in the future? I hope so, because we're both in video production. There's no way that he's giving me business or I'm going to give him business necessarily. Maybe something comes up and you're too busy. But the chances are is that we'll look to work together. But we just have a lot of fun in those breakout rooms when we're together. And I'm looking forward to meeting him in person at some point.
And then I also think you hit on something moving into online, especially during COVID. I mean, I think that's one of the things a lot of people decided to neglect for the first 3 months that this was happening, because everybody was like, oh, well, you know what? It's just going to go back to normal in 3 months. We'll be out of this in no time. And I mean, honestly, we've had some of the best networking has been online during this time. And it's because, if you're active, you can actually make connections. And the best part is that everybody's at home. So there's no reason not, like, they're not doing anything. It's not like, you know what, I got 3 meetings and then I have to travel. It's like, nope, I just got to click on the link and I'm there.
Yeah, I mean, this is like dressing up for me, right? But I had a sport coat on the last 2 days, and they're like, well, Chris, what's up, right? So, but when you're in your normal life. So, yeah, I mean, I think that COVID has made us all more efficient. Yeah. I mean, I know we all want to do Zoom calls, and we do, but I mean, I kind of limit it to maybe 4 or 5 calls a day, because you get what I call a zombie. The eyes get all gloomed over, and people are maybe not paying attention. So I think it can be a little bit of overkill. Yeah. But then you try to match in with some phone calls. I think I try to kind of to do that. But guys, there's never been a better time right now to get in front of the right people. Mm-hmm. So, if you can use LinkedIn as a tool to recruit and basically do your research of who you're talking to, people are very open to having conversations to really because we're all in this together. And, all the folks you interview on your podcast, they're all saying the same stuff, but it's true. We're all in this together. And like I said earlier, I feel like we're going to look back at this time fondly. A year from now, because we've created 30% new relationships, probably gotten ourselves into some verticals that we wouldn't have gotten into because of our pivot. And then you got to be open-minded to being agile and changing, because and I think that's a learning lesson through all this online stuff, is that don't get too set in your ways, because it can change, and don't get too arrogant about yourself either, and be humble, because there's a lot of restaurateurs that were living high in the hog that are looking in the mirror going, holy crap, it just hit me.
Yeah, right.
And we're only one call away from our own mortality, or somebody calling you and then you're on your knees with some debilitating news. So you just got to that's what makes relationships of the most important aspect. I know the group in India that I go to, they say no jerks. That's their mantra. Yeah. For us, it's like no ego or no takers, right? We look at matchers and takers. Those aren't the people or the businesses that fit into our profile. We're looking for givers. So be altruistic on the front side, help some people grow at the beginning, and then you'll get it back eventually. Now, does it take time? Then the key is, how do we get to a second phone call, right? Because I was looking through all my Zoho CRM, I'm looking through it, and I'm like, I got a lot of first phone calls here. There's a lot of people here I haven't had a second phone call with. So been going through my Zoho this week, making second phone. Hey man, what's up? Hey, hey, what can we do together? What can I do to make your life better? I mean, obviously with what we do, but all in addition, like what can I do to help you grow your business, right? So
Right.
at the end of the day, the win, I don't even know if I like win-win. I think you got to give 10 times as much as you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know, win-win means I'm being a matcher, that you're going to give me something, I'm going to give you something. But I always tell people, if you're altruistic, you're outgoing, you're happy, and you can go ahead and sell me. I'll find somebody in my network that I'll find someone for you. But on the same token, you better look for me as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But it's right. It's very much not transactional, right? It's not like a one for one type thing. And I love the second phone call. Let's talk about the second phone call, because I think that networking, very often you get that first email exchange, right? And this is back. Well, I was just thinking about back when we were doing stuff in person. Whoa. Jeez, I went back into a time machine there. But you do that first email, and maybe you set up a coffee, or maybe you do a Zoom call, and then after that, it's like, oh yeah, great. Yeah, I'll do this, and you do that, and maybe you exchange, you introduce them to somebody via your network on LinkedIn or an email introduction, and then you kind of stop, right? If there was no like immediate business gain for that after you do what you said you were going to do, it just kind of stops. And I guess the idea behind it is that you're like, all right, well, I'm just waiting to see if somebody in my network comes along and is looking for what they have. And then it's a really easy, like, oh, hey, you just do the little pipeline thing and you shift it over to them. But that second phone call, it's really important just to kind of check up and see how people are doing, because people pivot all the time, and all of a sudden they're not in the same type of industry, or they're going after somebody different. And that's how you build relationships. You don't build relationships off of one call and then hopefully something will come up so that you can give them new information or new business, something. It's a constant conversation going back and forth.
Right, and I think what you kind of touched on there, Frank, was interesting, because it's like you don't know if they're in the same industry if you've only had one call with them. Because a lot of times people end up switching. You're like, oh no, well, we don't do that anymore. We do this, and it's like, oh well, I actually have a couple of people that are actually looking for that. So that's kind of interesting. So, it's important to actually have a connection with the person, not with the industry. So it's like you don't just say, oh, that person's in there. If you actually know that person, then you know exactly where they are, and you know how to even better help them.
Aren't they buying you though, guys? I mean, it's great that you do what you do, but at the end of the day, it's about integrity. It's about trust. And you're right, people change. So if they change businesses and I had a good camaraderie and a good feel about them, absolutely, like, you're right, you got to keep in touch. They may change, and then I'll have people that get in touch. Hey, I moved, I just got, been let go, or I'm in transition. Can you get me to my next step? And then you turn them on to all your people in the headhunting or staffing world. So yeah, I mean, there's value to the second. It's very intentional though. You have to literally like be very organized in because I get connected to probably 10 new people a week, which if you're going to brag about something, brag about how many people you help. And if you help enough people will boom back at you. Right. And I'm getting a lot of people thrown at me. And so you have these conversations with folks, but then how are we going to drive this where it's a value and a benefit to both of us, and not just have small talk? Yeah, obviously the first 15 minutes, you're going to talk about where you're from, all that good stuff, develop some rapport, develop some camaraderie. But at the end of the day, it's like, all right, how can we drive opportunities for one another? And that's, again, with back to SIL, we really want to attract people that are the doers and the movers and the shakers in this world, but also understand that there's a giving portion of this, and we're just sitting there with our hand out. Because I mean, like, a lot of times you're just sitting waiting for people to call you with opportunities. That's just not how this world works. It has to be. There's got to be an intentionality, and there's got to be a desire and a little bit of an aggressiveness toward moving the needle. But if I give 100 connections a week, which sometimes I might do, then I feel pretty good about myself. I sleep really good at night. Yeah. So, and maybe my bank account isn't where we all want. We all can use more money, but at the end of the day, like, what is it do you sleep well at night? Are you doing enough for people? Yeah. And that is the key, but we all have to, and I've had a hard time receiving, right? And that's something that, like, if you want to look, like, what's something I can work out through COVID? I got to be better at asking for what I need.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause we spoke about that too. in our pre-podcast, and to try to get back right after you're giving so much. And I don't know if there's anybody on this planet right now, Chris, that's trying to give as much of themselves as you are to other people. Because if you're meeting all these people, and I know that at any point in time, and I've already asked, when I was like, you know what, I'm looking to talk to a lawyer, I didn't call you, but I messaged you first. You're the first person I went to, because I'm like, if there's anybody here that knew some good lawyers that weren't going to just try to, scrape me off or try to steal, like $1 million from me, it's going to be Chris. Chris will know some people that I can talk to. But then how do you get from that point, being that guy that everybody comes to be like, all right, well, now I need something. And maybe that does come a lot with reflecting on yourself, to be willing to ask for something that maybe you need, It's maybe a little bit more.
It's the quandary that you deal with every day. But if you are doing what you are for people and you're doing the right thing, it's easy to ask,
right?
Because they're like, hey, it's almost like, I don't want to say the word guilt, but people are like, well, this dude is like, he's helping me, right? Or he's trying, and especially if you can create an opportunity for somebody, literally get them a bid or an opportunity to bid on business, like they're like. That opens up Pandora's box for you. Yeah. You say, hey, I need this guy. I want to get into, let's say, Coke or Salesforce. Hey, you have any collaborations in that company? I want to get in there. Mm-hmm. You ask that question, and you've already given them 3 opportunities or 3 bids. If they say no to you, then you absolutely know that you're talking to the wrong lady, dude. It's like, this is not the right guy in my network. Or right. Say, this guy or lady is a taker.
Right.
Yeah. So you're like, okay, I misjudged you. Right. And so that happens. I mean, like, we get into this and you serve and you help, and at some point you're going to misjudge people. It happens. But again, the 3 chances. I give 3 chances. I mean, the little pit bull Mikey, not so much, but Mikey's absolutely killing it right now, and Mikey's an absolute saint too, and a giver. So it has to fit. And then your company culture. If you got the CFO over here and he's got one, or she's got one thing, and then the CEO lady, she's got another view of life, and it doesn't align, you got yourself a problem. So again, alignment is something I've always struggled. All right, am I doing what God wanted me to do? Am I doing the right stuff? Like, those are things that I banter back and forth with, and I have conversations with. I mean, I've got a great network of people, great mentors that I have discussions. They don't charge me a nickel. Because we just have great conversation. In conversation, like,
there you go.
I have in conversation every day with people.
Yeah. Right.
It's pretty cool when you have people that can charge you $200 an hour and they don't.
Right.
They just like talking to you. That's cool.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's the benefit. We've said this a lot on the podcast recently, is that people do business with people that they like, right? And whether or not that's like, when we were talking to one of the people that we've gotten the chance to network with and kind of build a rapport with, when I already explained this to you, but like, it was somebody that connected to me on LinkedIn, that lived in Britain and London, and then connected me to somebody in New York. And when we're talking to him, and he's like, oh yeah, it's like, we should do this. Like, they see the opportunity, like good networking when you're going back and forth and you're building a good rapport. They see the opportunity. Not only is he's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to put an invoice out, and you pay it when you have the money to pay it, And you're like, oh, well, that's somebody that's putting their money where their mouth is, who actually believes in us and actually, likes us,
Yeah, but then, of course, that same connection, going back to it, we actually had to ask, because we had a really good rapport with this person, and we wanted to work together, and we kind of agreed that we would in some way. We just didn't know how. And we were like, well, you know what? We'd really like to work with it. He's like the other side of the coin of our business. And we're like, well, why don't we just hop on a Zoom call and say, hey, how can we work together? Like, ask, how can we work together?
Yes.
And as stupid as that sounds, but then we had to do it. And of course, we already knew what the answer was.
Yeah.
But we had never pressed a strategic partner to be like, all right, well, what's the next step? What are we actually going to work on together?
Because we were always part, guys, right? Yeah.
Because we were always waiting because we've partnered with marketing companies in the past, and we've always been like, they're like, we might have 2 projects for you to do, and then and
then I'll check in every month, but then
waiting, hey,
3 months go by.
We might
nothing.
though. That's not a great word. I don't like the word might. I like. We do have 2 projects. So maybe the question would be, well, how can we take might to we do?
Yeah.
Right. And then how do you so, the person we're talking about is Tom Kennan, and we also had him on the podcast naturally. And, it was like, all right, well, how can we show to everybody what we do together, right? There's got to be, I'm like, he does marketing and we do, video. Storytelling and video production. I'm like, we have both sides to make a video.
Great marketing campaign.
Right, exactly, right?
To market how we market.
So it's like, well, how could we do that then?
Yeah, right.
Let's talk about
let's eat our own medicine and figure it out.
Eat your own dog, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Eat your own dog food.
No, I like that. Eat your own dog. That's going to be the
you
quote.
You can end it however you want to end
it. Eat your own dog.
There you go. Right. Yeah, but to just go back to actually, all right, when you have not waiting for people to come back to you, but actively pursuing things, and though there might not be an opportunity right away, what could you work on together or do together to benefit both sides? Whether that's just exchanging services back and forth to kind of get a good idea and oh no, like a testimonial almost, no, this guy this is what they're doing. This is how great it is. I used it, and whatever. Yeah. But actively pursuing and actively asking for things that you feel like should be, no, duh, that's what we're going to do. But let's try to expedite this process a little bit.
Well, it's about putting out that ask. I mean, the worst they could say is no, which then while you're either going to find out that no in 3 hours, or you're going to find out that no in 3 months. And 3 hours is okay, now I have information I can pivot on. I don't have to wait for 3 months for someone to get back to me to say no, And it's it's like living in that what is it, that limbo state of not knowing. It's at a certain point it's harder in the long term, but it's easier in the short term to live in limbo. And that's what I think people tend to say, we don't live in the moment, but then when it's something bad, it's we're always in the moment for it. We're like I would rather be in limbo than no not. And it's
yeah, but it's
it's always better to know. It's answers.
And people they want you to know. So I think the prospect, for their own sanity, they want to say yes or no so they can move on with their life. But and then you can get on to your next prospect or whatever person that you're. And then no doesn't mean no. And we all hear the same sales lingo, but no doesn't mean no forever. It's no means no for now, right? So we can get to that. And 3 months from now, they may call you and say, "Hey, I do have a need for you that's different. Things can change, especially with COVID. I mean, businesses that you felt like were not, all of a sudden this hits, and then businesses are having more success than ever.
Yeah.
So again, you don't know when your time comes, and you just gotta have this whole pod of people that you're constantly nurturing, and then things change in life, and then boom, all right, I got these 20 folks that fit what I need right now. But again, it's just having that normal dialogue with people on a humanistic level, and then not being that dork that's hammering people, because you can ruin a 10-year relationship in 10 minutes by being unempathetic to people.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people hurting right now.
Yeah.
So go into it with a mindset of helping, nurturing, serving, but don't go in like a bull in a china shop either. It's just that we have to know that line of, all right, here's the line. They're hurting. Okay, I'm going to back off a little bit.
Right.
But obviously, if you're calling hospitals, they've got all kinds of money. Go after them hard.
Yeah, right.
Well, I think
just depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, on a previous podcast, we were talking to a producer, and she said to be pleasantly persistent, and I think that's just exactly what you're talking about. It's understand that it's you don't want to be hey, when are we going to work? When are we going to work? When are we going to work? It's all right, no one wants to talk to that guy,
Right.
But be
those Conrad brothers, I tell you, man, they're annoying.
Yeah, right.
They just keep poking me.
Yeah, they keep poking me on. Is that still a feture on Facebook to poke somebody on Facebook?
Yeah, I never understood that. I just got poked. All right, what is that? I never understood. Never understood that feature on Facebook. Maybe you guys can text me when you figure that out sometime.
Yeah, right.
Well,
yeah.
I feel like poking on Facebook was before my time because I didn't have a Facebook when people were poking people.
Yeah, and I got on a little late comparatively to a lot of other people, but yeah, I don't know. I had gotten poked, and I think that's just like it was supposed to be like a hello type thing, but like an annoying hello, kind of like.
Could it be like a nudge?
Yeah,
Frank
right.
Just nudged me.
Right. It's like, hey,
seems different than poke
somebody.
I think it was just to like annoy someone.
Poke your eye or something like that.
Yeah. There you go. Right.
Poke in the eye.
Poke the eye. Eat your dog.
Just poke.
Yeah. Right.
Pokes you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So it's really important to kind of nurture. Kind of went on a weird Facebook.
Yeah. Right. Weird Facebook
transition,
poking.
But it's so important.
That was weird, guys. We should probably delete that. We should edit that out.
No, it's staying in.
It's staying in. That's going to be the one part that everybody listens to. They're going to go like, "Hey, do you remember when they were speaking about that?" That's the segment right there. Yeah, right. It's going to inspire some startup to do something interesting.
Yeah, right.
Like, why did they take that feature out? That should be the only thing. It should just be all.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it lost its charm.
Right. Yeah. So finding that balance between giving and taking, that's not what we're talking. We're talking about how the not being too abrasive. With staying in touch too.
Right, and that goes back to knowing the person. Like if you actually know your network, you know the person. You'll know that if John, who owns the high-end Italian restaurant, he might not be willing to do work with people right now. He might need help, as opposed to the guy who is the chief of medicine at some hospital is like, hey, man, I got money to spend.
Right.
And that's where those two people and you know how to approach both of them.
Right.
Correct. Know your audience, right?
Exactly.
Indeed. So what's some of the I'm kind of curious as to what are some of the vetting process that you guys do at SIL, because I know that we got connected on LinkedIn relatively randomly, but what's Mike doing over there? Does he do any like deep dive research into? Does he talk to some people? Does he get calls? Like almost like references to get in.
Full background check. We spend $80. We do a full drug test on everybody.
Right. Make sure there is marijuana
virtual
in their system.
Yeah, right. Virtual.
Just to clarify that we're looking.
They have to have that in their system.
At least once in the past 2 weeks. Because otherwise we know they're really not cool. We don't want any of those people.
Oh, you don't smoke, you're out. No,
yeah. All right.
Well, I've never met someone who is a giver who wasn't on weed at least once.
Right. Yeah, right.
Nice. Okay, so back to the vetting. So
the real vetting process is
other than the case of beer that I drank to find out. Vetting, well, first of all, we spend at least 45 minutes to an hour. So we get on a one-on-one call. For me, it's really the association, the folks that, if I see that if Frank or Jack Conrath have talked to him, that's usually a red flag. Right out of the gate, we don't want them a part of our organization. But so we look at the folks that, again, and LinkedIn's a great tool for us. And then simply I look at content. So like watching your guys' podcasts, I've admired it for a while. I mean, the first couple was a little sketchy, but then I got to like it as we've gone. But
people grow. You have to discover things. Right. I mean, we're fumbling through that. We've got a cocktail show that the first one is like, we didn't have the second camera out, and now we're, you just start to get into a rhythm.
You just got to do it at a certain point. You get better when you do it.
Right.
The more you do
I'm a lot better at some things. Not great at a lot of stuff, but I'm getting better. But so the bottom line, we really just get to know people. We want to see how they communicate. We want to see how they treat their family. Those are all things that are important to us. I had a mentor a number of years back that was a 43rd employee of Facebook. And he taught me to row with people for a year before you make any major decisions. And one of his criteria was, I want to see how you handle stress. I want to see how you handle when things don't go your way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to invest in somebody that is a wreck, because that's a red flag. And then what happens if money gets a little tight, those types of things. And we have some things that we're maybe not on the savory thing. Like, I want to make sure you're going to be even and consistent with investments, because life is a roller coaster. And whatever religion you believe in, there's a little bit of faith that goes into that, as far as like owning a business, being an entrepreneur, knowing that just because you're maybe not where you want to be right now doesn't mean that I don't have a vision for where I'm going.
Right.
For instance, I'm an Indiana football guy, right? And I wrote a LinkedIn post about our head coach, Tom Allen. And Tom Allen does a thing called LEO, love each other, right? He got blasted over that. Like, what's up with this softy, right? For like 3 years, like, he got absolutely hammered. My buddy's like, what's up with this LEO crap? And they were all over him, right? So now it's like culture, right? When you're winning, now he's like, he did a speech, and I posted it on LinkedIn, and so it was a 1 minute thing, and he talked about how he got made fun of, and he said, I don't care, and the whole team went crazy. Indiana's had 2 top 10, top 20 wins after they're the losingest football program in the country, and this guy has finally broken through at a school that simply doesn't have success in football. But culture is fixed by winning. I don't know of a good culture when you're losing. Everyone says, the culture, we have great camaraderie with our team.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, usually they're winning.
Yeah.
It's very hard to have, and it's usually very hard to have great camaraderie as a company when you're not making any money.
Right.
So the question is, how do we develop that camaraderie? And so for me, I really vet people, how they're handling failure.
Yeah.
And so we have an hour conversation, and we want to see how much they talk. Are you going to listen, or are you just going to blab about what you do? Because if you're blabbing about what you do, that tells me you may be a little bit selfish. And that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for folks that we're going to find ways to create opportunities and create deals, and we're going to really try to help a lot of people. So we find that it's a win. We had 82 of them yesterday. And we're going to grow this thing, and I think it's a nationwide thing. We don't charge, and the other thing, we don't charge a nickel.
Right.
This group. Now, are there groups you should charge? Yeah, if you want to raise the profile, you got to charge a little bit. You want to really get to the highest level.
Yeah.
And look at some of these other groups charging $20,000 a year. I mean, but if you want to attract the absolute top of the food chain, ladies and gentlemen that are the CEO level, then yeah, there might have to be an entry barrier. But for us, we're looking for people that can connect us to those folks. And we've just had a tremendous amount of fun doing it. And again, it just continues to get better and better. And I sleep incredibly well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love the vetting process, because there are groups that just allow basically everybody in. And I think that right there, the vetting process is a good barrier to do if you're going to not charge people to get in, right? If it's like, listen, yeah, sure, everybody's allowed in, or not everybody's allowed. It's free to get in, but there's still that double door there that you still have to walk through and pass the smell test, essentially, of being like, listen, are you going to be this guy going around and just trying to sell and then, make everybody really uncomfortable and not trying to build relationships? And if you had the opportunity, you would say, no, I'm going to hang on to my network and not give it to anybody else because this is mine and not yours. That's a great barrier right there from the get-go. And then the option to kick people out. And it's not that people in SIL, when we're in those meetings, are going like, oh man, Mike's getting pretty close. Am I doing enough? Am I being nice enough? Am I trying hard enough? No. But if you get enough, if red flags start popping up, then you'll get kicked out of the group. It's going to be like, yeah, we don't need you here because you're doing X, Y, and Z. We told you from the beginning, this isn't what we're about. Done. Right? And
there's plenty of groups to fulfill your need to take. There's a lot of you really are dying to take.
Right.
I can make 2 or 3 phone calls, and I know the groups. Say, hey, here you, and I'm not mentioning any names. But
Right.
hey, if you want to be a taker, I recommend you go here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not the criteria that we've laid out or the value system we've laid out. And we're very proud to say that. And if we're not creating enough deals, it's like, all right, well, we're not bringing it's you can't be afraid to change the room, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I listened to that Donna Smith Bellinger, one of my close friends, said that in one of her things she did at one of my other networking things. And she said, hey, don't be afraid to change the room. And I was like, oh, that's pretty good. I actually wrote that down. And we've taken that advice ever since. We've changed the room.
Yeah.
Well, thank God for the Pitbull mic. I mean, it's awesome.
The pit bull mic. When we first started the conversation, I was thinking of him more as a piranha, but he looks.
Yeah,
I could
like
see
a
him
pit bull.
I could see him being a pit bull. You know how people kind of look like animals. Yeah, yeah. I could see him. I could see him running around the yard, keeping people out. Yeah, but
I say that affectionately and jokingly.
Of course. And the vetting process is so important. It's so important to have because, you know, when we're a part of a couple or we've gone to a couple other networking groups and stuff. And, you know, one of the comments that we'll get and we'll hear from other people is like, wow, it just seems like a lot of people are, you know, dressed up. The women are wearing really short skirts and drinking. And you're like, yep, there are a lot of that here. And there are a lot of old men that are hitting on those younger women too, which is uncomfortable. And you're just like, you know, and when even if it's only 25% of the room is that, it changes people's perspectives or perceptions on what's actually going on there. And that really detracts from people to recommend to go to the networking event or for them to come back or to network too. Sure.
Right. To recommend that it's like, do you want to go to network or you just want to have a drink?
Right. Because if we're just going to have a drink, I know a better place to go where we're going to get not watered down cocktails.
Right. Exactly. So right. You know, you go, you find those places and if the room isn't vetted, it's very clear who's going.
Right.
And those people can infiltrate your network.
Right, right, exactly. And then, it just makes everything really, really kind of difficult. Because then even in your own mind, you get kind of confused as to why you're there.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're, 3 beers in, you're like, whoops, this isn't why I was here. You know, like, wait, I was here to talk to new people and stuff. But so I think that aspect of it is extremely important to have some sort of criteria to get in and then some sort of exit strategy as well. It's like, you know, if you're here to drink, I mean, if you're drinking on the Zoom call, maybe have a conversation with them. You know, like it's like, hey, is everything okay?
Especially if it's 11 o'clock.
Some of them drink. I mean, that's a good thing, right?
Well, not at 11:30 on a still Zoom call. You don't want them sitting.
Man, I mean, it just depends on the kind of week you've had.
Hey, we already said one of
my wife's leaving here. Maybe I'll have a drink here in a little bit.
There you go.
You know, that's true.
Why not?
I've got Bloody Mary mix. I got plenty of vodka. I think I'm good.
I don't have any Bloody Mary mix, but we do have vodka.
Oh yeah, we have vodka.
We have vodka.
Yeah, right. Just put it in your little cup.
Why even pretend that it's a morning cocktail? We all know what's going on. Pour it in a water glass.
You have a water bottle, right?
Yeah, right. Pour it in the water glass. I'll put some cranberry juice in it.
I still don't know what you're drinking there, but
well,
it looks like a craft
same
beer.
thing.
Yeah, vodka. It looks like craft beer.
This can't be craft beer. Look at this. Look how light this is.
It's really fruity. I mean, we're not even men anymore. Some of these craft beers are. It's like drinking wine or something.
Right? I love the craft beer world. Is just so amazing to me. I'm more of an IPA drinker myself, but there are some like they I don't know, they're like wizards back there with their melting pots and they're just in there.
I'm a craft beer. We went to Austin, and so we stayed at a guest house, and she had these steel stairs, right? So then our little daughter, we had this gate up. So then in IPAs, they do things you don't know what they're going to do. You fell down the damn stairs. I'm not kidding. I'm lucky I didn't break my back. Literally fell down and see my wife's like, are you okay?
Oh, that's amazing.
I'm like, oh, I'll be okay in a minute. But I literally fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
IPAs do things to me. What are they, like 19% alcohol?
That's a really
that would be a really
IPA.
You're probably looking at like 8% or something like that. But it's the bubbles. It's the
effervescence.
The effervescence. That's what gets it into your bloodstream faster.
So why is the hangover worse? I had 2 of the worst hangovers in my life. Seattle, I had a bunch of craft brews.
Yeah.
And Austin, I couldn't even hardly walk the next day. I had like 20 craft beers.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Well, 20. I think 20 of anything might make you not be able to walk the next day.
Some of those summer ales are kind of light. I get you, because
Yeah.
I mean, I love, this is like my guilty pleasure, but there's this hibiscus ale. It tastes more like wine than beer, but I love it in the summer. I think it's from
Hibiscus
Fist
ale.
City. I think it's from Fist City. I think it is.
Fist City?
Fist. Yeah, Fist City.
Huh.
What was
the
it called?
Rosa. It's
Yeah,
called
the Rosa.
And I don't know if it's their most popular one, but whenever I find it's only like in the spring into like midsummer, that's when they
it's
have
a
it
seasonal
out.
brew. Yeah.
That's
And
the choice?
That's the one for me. I love it.
What would you do like now in the fall? What's your fall choice? Like a Sam Adams?
You know what?
Weiss.
Yeah.
Grab a Weiss.
Yeah.
Go German. All those beers are so good.
I like
Weiss-
Sam Adams,
Muddy.
though.
I want to drink beer, not mud.
No, the Weisses are they have like lemon.
Yeah,
it's very
more like a
citrus
blue,
forward.
It's like a really bad explanation is like a blue moon, but it's
yeah,
like
no,
I
much
hate
better
really,
than a
I
blue.
hate
Much
blue.
better than a
You
blue.
like
No,
blue
but
moon?
no.
No.
It's like that's
Please.
a bad analogy to it. It's like a million times better than that.
Yeah, no, like a Weiss or I mean
they're
Oktoberfest.
wheat beer. It's
Yeah, wheat beer,
kind
there
of
you go.
sweeter. They're a little bit sweeter.
and lighter.
Anybody's
I
got to
love
put
it.
an orange in their beer. I just can't do it.
Well,
you
see,
don't
the Germans put lemon in their beer.
Well,
And
yeah,
it's
but
just
it's
like
in the beer. I don't have a little lemon on top of it, right? It's actually in the actual fermentation.
Yeah.
Well, it's garnished. Sometimes it's garnished with
but
a
you
lemon
don't know.
wedge.
But you don't have to put it in there.
Yeah, but you don't have to put it in.
You'll taste it even if it's not in there.
Oh, that's
It's
really good.
though.
That's really good.
I'm drinking Miller Lite now. I can't handle IPA. I'm a wuss. How do you?
You're
fall
just
down the
drinking
stairs?
water then.
Yeah, I'll drink vodka then.
Yeah, right. Man. Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with Miller Lite. I mean, whenever we watch, football or baseball, it's old style here in Chicago.
Old style. Wow,
old
you
style.
really went to the gut.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's-
Hey, you know what?
It's-
You know what they say about old style? It's distilled from the pea troughs at Wrigley Field.
The peat troughs. All right. I didn't
At
catch
Wrigley
that.
Field, yeah,
So
that's
did
where they
you
make
have
it.
great hair? Because both of you guys have great locks. So there might be
Oh
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
probably something to that.
Huh.
Yeah, no, it's
Generations of Cubs fans. Let me tell you.
generate. Yeah, right. We're drinking the 89 right now. They have
Probably, yeah, the-
plenty of new old style.
Yeah, they should get rid of Theo. He did win a title, so he should go away.
Yeah, right. Well,
Well,
it's weird. I mean, their whole exit strategy there is just like it feels like it's winding down very quickly, and you're like, as a Cubs fan, I've decided that, well, not decided, but when they won the World Series, it was like a lift. It felt like generations of pressure off our shoulders, and I'm like, you know what? If we don't end up going back to the World Series or the playoffs or anything for like 10 years,
you know what,
I'm okay with
I
it.
just want to go
Theo
to
can say this to all you guys because he won one.
Yeah,
he
right.
did. I
He
just
can
want to go
say
to.
forget you, F you to everybody.
What's
Once
the next?
you win a title in Chicago, he did the same thing in Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once you do that, the guy basically probably doesn't even have to. He can float through Chicago. Once you win one, you're good.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And they're all giving him crap. I'm like, my buddies are like, well, they came close and before. I'm like, dude, winning it and coming close,
Yeah.
not nearly the same. Like Buckner with Boston, the ball went under his legs,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like it's not the same. You have to win it.
Right.
You have to, like Indiana would come close in football. They never got out. Like this year, they beat Michigan. First time. Of course, it's COVID. Nobody can go.
Right.
Of course they do that. I've been going to Indiana football games for 30 years and I can't go. Of course.
Yeah. Right.
It's so typical. The COVID Hoosiers. It's like the Cubs. If they would have ever wanted, it'd have been now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Right. Well, luckily that didn't happen.
Right, yeah.
We don't have to live in that reality.
I just want to go to one World Series and not feel like we have to win it. Like be okay losing the World Series. That's
You're
one of my.
fine. Yeah, you already
that's
won
one of my
it.
things,
You can
yeah.
die happy now.
Hey,
It was
lot of Cubs
108
fans-
years.
A lot of Cubs fans never saw it.
Yeah. Right.
A lot of Cubs fans.
108 years.
Didn't we all call our dad though? Like there's some dudes that literally called their dad and their dads.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, we just want, that's what I'll do.
Yeah.
And Indiana wins a title in 40 years. Hopefully I'm alive. They're like, hey, Dad, we won another title. Because like my buddy, his dad said, you know what? We're not going to win another effing title with me. Because I don't even know if we're going to win one with you. So he was telling me, he's like, this sucks. He's like, Indiana blows. Like, this guy's like 80 years old. He's like, Indiana blows. He's telling me just like that.
Yeah.
Pretty funny. The verbiage that he uses.
Yeah, right. Well, the frustration of a aggravated fan base. Of a constantly disappointed fan base. I mean, yeah. Just listening. I love what one of the pundits in Chicago said. One of the news hosts. He was like, it's like he wasn't excited. He wasn't happy. He was relieved.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and how long do you have to be losing to finally win? And you're not even happy. Your first instinct is, done.
Relief.
No more of that. Right. So yeah.
How did we get on beer? We went on beer. I don't know.
Beer, and then we started talking
I just feel like digressing for 10 minutes. So
beer, and then a little bit of sports.
Then a little bit.
I get it. I digress to sports constantly. People roll their eyes like, oh, Indiana again. Like Christine, my business partner, he'll bring up Indiana at least once a day. So just count on it.
Yeah, it's so important to so many people that like they're where they went to college, where they studied, and then the team, or where they grew up even too. Yeah. Like in Bloomington and in.
I grew up. My dad from year one started taking me to basketball games.
Yeah,
so it became part of. And my wife went to Oklahoma, so they talk about Oklahoma sports literally every day.
Right.
So I married the perfect girl because she does what I do.
Right.
Like they literally have conversations about her team.
Yeah.
And so like that, like if you're going to marry somebody that doesn't have, you don't have to explain yourself 100 times, but they just know you're flawed. And so I talk about sports every stinking day. I mean, it's like, that is my fabric. Like if I could have been an agent and not gotten run over, I would have.
Right.
Because it really is one of the most cutthroat industries in the country that you can do.
Yeah.
I got a buddy that's an agent, and he's probably too nice of a guy.
Yeah.
So that movie Jerry Maguire, fellas, is right on the money. It could not be more true about how it really is. Like that scene where they're chasing each other for the clients and they're calling them. That's like literally how it is.
Yeah. There's not a lot of giving with agents.
No,
they don't give to the ownership, and they're trying to, take as much as they possibly can, and then trying to steal as many clients as they can too. Yeah. I don't think any of us would have been very, very well positioned to do that. Though I did play around with it. But that was more of a joke. Yeah, because Jack was trying to get into acting. One of our buddies was trying to get into acting, so I was like pretending to be an agent. Obviously, just work. No, well, that's because I can get you the audition, but you got to be able to get past the audition, don't you?
Have you guys met Devin Johnson yet?
No, have not met Devin Johnson.
I got a video I got to show. You guys will laugh. You guys will find this to be humorous.
Okay. Well, excellent.
He did a 3-minute video on. He's got nacho cheese on his chest.
Okay.
And his wife is literally taking chips and eating it off his chest. And then this guy does a Jordan Belfort impersonation.
Oh,
his name is and he does a Trump, not in this video, but he does Trump, Matthew McConaughey. I mean, literally Saturday Night Live-ish, dead on. I'll send you this video. You will freaking go nuts. It's hilarious.
I was already laughing at the nacho cheese on some guy's chest.
It's your kind of humor.
Great. Well, Chris, this has been a great conversation. We usually end off with some words of wisdoms. Anything from the conversation that we had. Yeah. There was quite a few of them too. I think I say that every single time at the end. There's quite a few. No, what's going on with my voice there?
The vodka.
I'm starting to get the spirit sweats too now. Ooh, man, you don't start your day off with a full glass of vodka with cranberry juice.
Nothing better. Absolutely nothing better.
Didn't quite wet the pipes there.
I'm out too, so I couldn't even.
Vodka. Get some more vodka in.
Well, don't worry. As soon as we hang out,
a nice high pitched A there.
But yeah, so I usually say that, but we did speak about a lot of interesting topics and stuff. Definitely the trying to give as much as you can, but I'll let you go ahead and speak.
Well, I think it starts, guys, by getting some outstanding people around you. And I had early on, marry the right person, have great parents. Obviously, you can't choose that, but if you're fortunate enough, treasure your parents. It's a short life. And then really get around outstanding people and get around people that really want to truly mentor you, right? There's a lot of folks that want to mentor you, and they want you to be half as good as them, so they can almost use you as a springboard to get where they want to get to. Find true mentors that want to see you do better than them. My bar isn't that high, but anybody that I talk to, I want to see them be better than me, which again isn't that hard to do. But if you're going to get around radically successful people, and really the higher you go in the food chain, the old adage, some people think, well, because they're at this point, they're not going to want to help. I think it's the opposite. The higher you go, the more gracious people are. And so don't be afraid to ask people at the highest level for their expertise or advice. And then get out there and help and serve and serve people. And again, you'll sleep really well at night when you do that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And when now my voice is going to be really weird low because I was going to yell graggly. You overcorrect with this stuff.
Because he doesn't want to. He doesn't want to start singing.
No, but reaching out, especially with people that have had success, they're the ones that do often are very approachable. You would think so. Yeah. But those are the people that they're willing to spend some time and talk to.
In our experience, it's the people that are at the top of the food chain that aren't. I feel like there's people who aren't when you're when you feel like you have that imposter syndrome where you're successful but you don't feel successful. Those are the people that don't want to help you. Those are the people that are one more person one more cook in this kitchen and I'm out. But if you're successful and the people who are successful, top of the food chain, they know their worth. They're like, well, come on, man. Get up here.
Oh, yeah. They'll pull you up. And anyone's got to tell you how great they are is a complete red flag. So humbleness and gratefulness are two traits that, because none of us have been where we are for long. And when you get to the top, it's even harder to stay there. Yeah. So all stations in life are temporary. And what you believe in and your values really take precedent over everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, great. Well, Chris, I'm so happy that we got to do this. Thanks for giving us, a little bit of time of your morning.
Thank you.
And I will, we'll let you get back to your vodka and Bloody Mary mix. And obviously, I'm a little low, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some too. But yeah, I'm always looking forward to doing or to attending the SIL meetings. Always get to meet a whole bunch of good people and listen to some interesting presentations, to say the least.
Yeah, right.
And and I'm looking forward to continuing to participate. At some point in the future, and I don't know how much you know about this, but we're in a tech accelerator. We're working on an app. And once I have an MVP out, I'd love to do a presentation on it on SIL. I think that would be good. Yeah.
Consider that done. But really appreciate it, guys. Thank you for your time and continued success for you too.
Thanks so much for watching.
If you want to watch more episodes of this podcast, you could look on the link over there. It's going to be up this site. You're going to have other episodes. Or if you don't want to listen to conversation, just want to watch us make cocktails and hopefully make them yourself, new episodes of Stipulations coming out every Friday. Don't know what this episode's going to be because we haven't done the poll yet. We filmed this podcast before we sent it out. A little secret of the trade there. But thanks you guys for all your support and continue to watch our content.